Basically, I have 36 years of motorcycle transmission experience, and I had 10 years experience before I opened my own shop doing nothing but motorcycle transmissions. So we're all trained professionals, and this is all we do. We do nothing but motorcycle transmission. The Hyabussas came out in 1999, and was shortly afterwards we were doing them because they were having problems. People were taking them to drag strips. I did one that only had 450 miles on it. They were all drag strip miles, but it was only 450 miles. So we've been doing the Hyabussa ever since it came out. We've been in business for 26 years doing nothing but motorcycle and quad type transmissions. And I had 10 years experience before I opened my own shop doing nothing but motorcycle transmissions. So basically I have 36 years of motorcycle transmission experience, and my right-hand man has been with me for 25 years, and my left-hand man's been with me for 18. So you won't find a high turnover. You won't find some kid that used to work at McDonald's working on your transmission. We're all trained professionals, and this is all we do. We do nothing but motorcycle transmissions. Well, it's also the caring, making sure that everyone is 100%. Every transmission we do is our calling card. We don't advertise. It's all word of mouth. And, that is our calling card. And so we take pride in making sure that every transmission that goes out the door is 100%. Our comeback ratio is next to nothing. And lots of times when we do have an issue, we can help you find what you did wrong. So that's pretty much it there. I mean, that's all we do. And like I said, we make sure every one of them is 100%. We're a three-man operation, and every one of us, all three of us, look over your transmission numerous times during the process. No one is above being double-checked. Basically, one thing that we do that a lot of places do not do, and we do it on every transmission, there's no exclusions, unless the bike is brand new, rolled off the showroom, or we're working with brand new gears. We magnaflux every transmission, and what that is we take and we magnetize the gears and the shafts, and then they get sprayed with a magnetic particle solution, and then they get held up to a long wave ultraviolet light, which is basically a glorified black light. And the magnetic particle solution holds these magnetic particles that will get drawn into any cracks or breaks in the surface because it creates a stronger magnetic pole at any break. And it'll pull these magnetic particles in, and when you hold it up to the long wave ultraviolet light, with it being magnetized, you will see a fluorescent lime green crack where you could not see it with your naked eye. And we check all the gears. 90% of the time where they're going to crack is at the root of the tooth, at the very base, at the V, and it will be angling away from the engagement side. The other place they crack is on the engagement dogs, where they engage with each other. So sometimes they can crack there too. Shafts can crack, specifically the Hyabussa at the output shaft. They crack on the sprocket splines. And we do use a bigger output shaft on the high horsepower Hayabussas because of this problem. And we also, inspect the shafts at the circlip grooves. Oil holes also. Oil holes are a place that they can crack. These manufacturers put the oil holes in the positive part of the spline, not the low side of the spline. If they put it in the low side of the spline, you would not have any load bear against the side of that hole. And when they put it in the positive part of the spline, it now is vulnerable to getting cracked just because you now have a hole splitting down the center of this spline. So that's another place that they do crack. The other thing we do is we take and we put the shafts on centers and put an indicator on them and check them for any run out. We also check them on V-blocks for any run out so that we have both, we're looking at it from both a center point and both outside rotating area. So we double check all that. We check the shift forks. We have a jig that we check the forks with to make sure they're straight. We check the shift drum. We check the detent and anything that's associated with the transmission. When you send a transmission into us, you can send us everything. Basically, shift fork, shift drum, fork rods, both shaft clusters complete, all the bearings, the bearing caps. We inspect all of that. There's no extra charge for any more stuff that you send. The more you send, the more we can diagnose. It's basically like having all the pieces to the puzzle and the box so you see where everything goes. So that way we can diagnose anything and any kind of problem that you might have. So our inspection process is very deep more so than anybody else out there. We have had transmissions that have come in the wrappers from other people, from other manufacturers, other shops that were supposedly ready to go transmissions, but some of these people had experienced multiple problems and they wanted their stuff double checked, and we have gotten transmissions in that have had bent shafts, cracked gears, everything straight out of the wrapper from other shops. So that's one thing we do, is we look over everything and double check everything. And some people might say that, our prices are higher than other places out there, but you pay for what you get. And our process is where we look over stuff and we double check stuff. You can't charge for something that you don't know. If you don't know how to fix it and you don't know what the cause is, there's no charge for that, because they can't charge you because they didn't do anything. So if they just do the basics, you might get something that's going to work for a while, but you're not going to get something that lasts. So again, you can't charge for what you can't fix. So if they don't know what to fix, then they can't charge you for it. So it's not that we're looking to dig into your wallet. We're looking to give you a product that's going to work and is going to last, and you're going to get what you paid for. I got to work on Bill Warner's land speed bike, and Bill Warner's land speed bike had more horsepower than any Hyabussa that we've ever worked on. He had over 1,000 horsepower. The bike went 311 in the mile and a half. Tragically, Bill died trying to go 300 in the mile, but Bill's one of the only guys that killed one of my transmissions. And it was a learning process, because he came in the shop with the transmission and he handed me the box, and I looked in the box and I just handed it back to him, shook his hand and said, "Congratulations, Bill. You just are one of the only guys that have destroyed one of my transmissions, and destroyed it in a way that nobody else has." So with Bill in mind, his horsepower and everything that he was doing, that helped us come up with different tricks to fix the transmission. Those heavy-duty clip mods. His bike made so much horsepower that it had so much centrifugal pull on the undercut that he actually pulled gears into each other and pulled the clips out on the front side. So that's where those heavy-duty circlip modifications came in, not only because of a backside load, but because of a front side load, because with that kind of horsepower, he was in uncharted, areas. And so we kind of worked together. One of the only guys I ever sponsored, and I sponsored him for two reasons. One was I thought he could do the first bike over 300, and he went right out and went 311. But it also was a place where we could learn, because it was uncharted territory. Nobody had made that kind of horsepower before. What's trending online, or what's going on in different chat rooms and forums, whether it's Harley, or all of a sudden I'll get a call and it'll be about a particular motorcycle, and then I'll get another call. Sometimes we might get 6 or 8 calls a day on the same transmission and get the same kind of questions asked. So I know it's out in some forums and some chat rooms and stuff. And one day it might be BMW K1200s, one day it might be Hayabussas, one day it might be Harleys. So lots of times we can tell what's going on online. We don't know where it's going on online, but we know it's going on because our phone's ringing. So, yeah, like a lot of people when they call me too, they'll start off with, so-and-so told me that you're the man. Like I had a guy the other day called me up. He had a FJ 1200 motor in a quad. He drag raced it 300 foot. I think he only used first and second gear, and second gear was jumping out. So he called Star Racing up to ask them, where should I send it? And the guy told me, he said, "You guys were recommended by one of the best places in the world." And so we got him set up, got him taken care of. But that's where a lot of it comes from, is referrals. Most of the time we won't get a call out of the blue. We have a lot of different places that will recommend us. That's what gets us a lot of our business. A lot of it is shops that will tell individuals, that we're the ones that do all these mods and stuff. We work on all the bikes out of Ronnie Mitchell's Pro Street Cycles, Walter Sprout's bike that Hayabussa's gone 688 at 220 on a street tire. And again, Bill Warner's land speed bike that went 311 in the mile and a half. A lot of different applications too. We do Hayabussa. There's a platform for the Hayabussa engine where they put them in buggies. It's real popular out west, and we do a lot of Hayabussa transmission mods for buggies too. And there's different mods that we do too for the buggies, where on some of those applications, especially the heavy 2-seater cars that have big paddle wheel tires, on some of those we will undercut, say, second gear on both sides. On your motorcycle, you're only going to see on the decel side of the gears what the rear wheel lets it have. In other words, you've got whatever horsepower that you've got in the engine in front of the transmission. Behind the transmission, all you got is a rear wheel. So if you were to throw a hellacious downshift at it, all it would do would be to slide the rear wheel. Different story with two big giant paddle wheel tires and 1,500 pounds of weight. In those applications, on some of those, we will cut the decel side just because they have so much weight and so much tire behind them. Give us a call. Telephone number is 727-447-4552. My name is Mark, and I will answer the phone and talk to you.